And we're back. All right. Welcome back to the Overwatch Collective Podcast here with Nick. This is take three. The first time I joined as a producer, the audio did not work. So, very good clips of you. Um, and then last time, what was it? Your Wi Fi, your connection. And then
Yeah.
while we're shooting the shit before recording, our internet goes out. So, fourth time's a charm, I guess. How we doing, man?
Yeah, we're doing good, man. How are you doing?
Good. Fantastic.
Good.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's see. So let's get into this. So I'm going to mention our podcast sponsor, our updated therapy statistics, and then I'll have you do an intro and we'll jump into it. So thank you, Braden Performance Technologies, for being a sponsor of our podcast. Mental health clinic that treats patients with TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, delivers pulses to specific areas on the scalp to alter brainwave activity and treat various conditions, including depression, TBI, PTSD, anxiety. It's drug-free, non-invasive, and improves brainwave function, better mood, better sleep, bigger gains in improved mental health. It offers different protocols like TMS, RTMS, MERT, SAINT. It's an authorized TRICARE provider and can assist with insurance qualification for TRICARE patients for our military. Learn more today at 1bbt.com or listen to season 9, episode 20 of our podcast. And then our therapy statistics, $320,000 as of January 16th spent on therapy, 289 people connected to our therapist, and then either fully covered or financially assisted, 3,044 therapy sessions. And we just received a $34,000 donation the beginning of this year. And then Giving Tuesday, we raised like $38,000. So things are going really well. 2026 is off to a good start. Got a bunch of podcasts lined up, working on a fundraiser out here. So things are going good, man.
Nice, dude. Dude, amazing to hear. Amazing
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
I absolutely love it. So obviously we got the merch on Code 33 project. This is what we're going to be talking about and focusing on. I love it. Everybody, if you're listening to this pause, go to the website, get a sweatshirt, get a t-shirt, and support. Obviously, we're going to break down this entire project. But really quick, for those that are listening that do not know you, Nicholas McCarthy, please give us a quick introduction, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So my name is Nick McCarthy. I'm from California, currently live in Idaho. Been married 10 years, two kids, got a 5-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. So most of my time is taken up with them. So
Mm-hmm.
life is good, man. I spent about 9 years in law enforcement. Worked at Daly City Police Department with you. I retired as a canine handler. Unfortunately, retired sooner than expected. Right, retired with a medical PTSD retirement, and now I am out here in Idaho. I run the day-to-day operations for a small pest control business in Boise. It's Best Pest Control. Shout out to them. They're awesome. And then on the side, I've started my own business, and that is the Code 33 project, which we're talking about today, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super excited. So Nick and I started at Daly City Police Department in Northern California together. Went through like the field training process together. We're on weekend graveyards together, getting cut loose, and um, all the stories. I mean, we can go on and on with all these fun ass stories.
Yeah.
And things were very different back then. No body cams, no fleet cameras in the patrol cars. Mach 3 with our hair on fire down East Market, lights and sirens, running red lights. All
Yeah.
the dumb shit that now I see younger cops doing. I'm like, dude, you got
Just
to slow
shut it
down. Like,
down.
yeah, it's like it's not worth it. And I'm like, oh my
Right.
god, this makes me seem like I'm so old and like
Yeah.
that dude that's shutting down the fun. But
Yeah, isn't that crazy where it's like now we're looking back where it's like it was a different time in
yeah,
police work back then and we're talking about dude 10, 11 years ago. Like,
hmm
you hear dudes like that, the OGs in the game, dude, where they're like, yeah, back when I was working the street and they've got like 30 years on, dude. So just having that conversation in itself is definitely a weird spot, dude.
yeah. And like our dads have been doing this
Yeah.
for over 30, 40
Yep.
years, and
Yep.
like you hear their stories, their experiences and all that. And then like you go back to our time when we first started, and then before we were recording, we were talking about everything going on now with all the ice and all this crazy stuff. And obviously, we don't talk about politics here, but maybe we could touch on that a little bit, just because it's how it affects us. There's definitely something to it. So we'll touch on that later. Really quick, for those of you that are listening, if you want to learn more about Nick's story and a full intro of Nick, you can listen to season 8, episode 8 of our podcast, or check out Ironside's podcast. Scott Howell, much better podcaster, interviewer, and it's way more professional. It was done in person. It was great. That was After Dark number 32. So if you want to get a better podcast experience with Nick, other than virtual and doing this stuff with like barely any editing, go listen to Scott's episode, but sweet. So let's jump into the Code 33 project. Where the name came from, obviously I know the Code 33 thing, but
Right.
where the name came from, what your mission is, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, the name came from, code that we used in California, Code 33. Basically, you're gonna put that out if you have emergency traffic. Hey, Code 33. Then it stops anyone else from getting on that radio, so that you can get whatever transmission you need to get out. As far as the project portion, that was actually done by design. For me, this is a project and kind of forever will be. Based on our clients coming in, whatever their needs are, that's going to be a project in itself. But the company can branch out into some other things other than the mentorship. The main focus of the company is to mentor our next generation of law enforcement, man, and at the same time try to reignite that passion for the current generation. Me, it's easy for me to talk about what law enforcement needs to do better as I sit here right in my chair at my house, fully retired, and not putting a uniform on and going out there every day. So, I absolutely understand where my position is. But there's work to be done, man. And so, the disconnects that I've seen now that I sit on the retirement side are way clearer than they were when I was working, man. I think I didn't have the time to think about what needed to get better. And, nor did I really have an experience where, working, I had that, like, hey, I don't like this. I'm not comfortable around this. I never experienced that. Our agency was amazing. The people that worked there were great, dude. So I don't have any qualms as far as that, but I certainly saw it, right? Like I saw that there was different caliber of cops, different caliber of work ethics, and people who either took their job seriously or they didn't. And I certainly saw that in person. So I knew that existed. It exists everywhere. It doesn't matter. You're never going to find that perfect PD or that perfect sheriff's office that doesn't have a thing. So mentoring that next generation of law enforcement, man, I really want new guys coming through the pipeline as far before they even put in an application to a police department. I think now having experience on the street and experience in the crime, but also, the consistency of the crime that we dealt with in California gives us a unique perspective, man, a unique work ethic perspective when it comes to police work. And I think implementing that, through a mentorship to a brand new person who wants to be a cop, just hasn't gone through the process of doing that yet. And we can change their mindset there, and we can change their work ethic there. I think once they hit the street, they're going to be all that, much better for everyone, man. Because, as a working cop, you see these new guys coming through FTO, and, that's where your judgment is coming from. You're going to see them working, although you understand, like, hey, they're in training, like they don't know how to be a cop, right? But you do pick up on things where you're like, I either like that or I don't like that, right? And so I think with not trained, but new guys coming through the pipeline that have an understanding of what this job is in a different way than they do now, I think is going to help everybody, man. Everybody on the street, behind the scenes. I mean, I think it'll just be an easier process.
Yeah, and I know it's been a while since we've been through an academy, but I don't think that they really touch on much of that in the academy, right? Like, think about like now they're like California Post, they just put out, I think last year, like one of the learning domains is talking about mental health, right? Where it's like about damn time, but it's only like an 8-hour block of talking about mental health.
Right.
and I get it. Like you want to add more, but then is the academy going to be like San Francisco PD, where it's like 7.5 months ish?
Right.
It's like you can't have an academy for a year, but there definitely should be some mentorship, some, hey, these are some things that you should consider when you go to the
Right.
department for the first time, when you do ride-alongs, when you meet your field training officers. This is how you should act. This is things that you
Right.
should not say. These are things that you should
Exactly.
say, because everybody knows that, like, just like what you said, when you have some new guy or new gal, it's like everything you do, you're being judged, right away. It's your appearance. If you're a fat fucking slob and your duty belt's a mess, you're like, ooh, like, let's
Yeah.
fix you. But if your shit's squared away and then
Right.
you're shaking everybody's hand, you're like, good morning, sir, I'm Greg, nice to meet you, I'm Nick, I'm the new guy,
Right.
happy to be
Right.
here, excited. And then it's like,
Right.
hey, I want to take that case, I want to learn,
Exactly.
it's going to be good.
Right. And it's, it goes back to being coachable, man.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that you are the new guy and being okay with that, and
Yeah.
understanding that being the new guy is a part of the process. It absolutely is a building block, of being a well-rounded cop. And I'm not sitting there saying that, hazing is what we need to do, but there absolutely is a place and a time for new guys to come, and gals that come through the program, that come through a police department. This isn't a job where, you show up and you got your friends, man, and you do what you need to do, you get your paycheck and leave.
Yeah.
Right? It's not one of those jobs. So it's a lifestyle, man. And so I think if we can really solidify these new people's passion and their why are you becoming a cop? Why do you want to be a cop, right? You always get the answer, well, I want to help people. But for me, if you put an application in, we already know you want to help people, right? How? I want to know how. How are you going to implement help into the community, right? Or how are you going to be an assistant? How are you going to put that help down in the police department to ensure that we can take bad people and put them in jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like having that why and really solidifying to these new people, what is your why? And let's always remember that, because oftentimes you go through the police academy, you're going to meet different cops who are going to be your training officers, who are going to try to implement their way of doing police work, which isn't always the right way of doing police work. We all know that, right? And I'm certainly not sitting here saying my way is the only way and it is the correct way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think my way, well, I know my way works, right? Because I did it for my entire career. You did it. Everybody around us did it. That whole police department did it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why that specific police department has the reputation that it does. It's because of the work that those people have put down on the street to ensure
Mm-hmm.
that their community members are safe. So it's like, I don't want these new people to be, drift off into this direction of some other shitty cops, understanding and teaching of the way that they think police work should be. And, there's a lot of that, man. There's a lot of people who are in the job who just meet those expectations, man. That's all they do. They're there,
Yeah.
they do the bare minimum. And I'm not saying that that's even wrong, man, to be honest with you, because you don't have to be a cop and be somebody that goes out there and lights the world on fire, man, and takes hundreds of people to jail. You do not need to be that type of cop, okay? Do I think that that is the type of cop the community needs? Absolutely, I do. But I also understand that law enforcement's a big machine, man, and it
Mm-hmm.
meets expectation caliber cops. It does. And if we don't have those people, the machine doesn't work. It doesn't run
Mm-hmm.
efficiently. So there is a place, right? But even in that same sense, if you want to come to work, you want to do a good job, you want to do what's expected of you, you want to be safe, you want to be a contributor, okay, but you just don't have that, right? You don't want to go out there and just burn the world down, like I said. You better have the same passion as everybody else does, though. I think foundationally, we in law enforcement should have that same passion. Like, we know why we're here. We know what type of police work works for our community. And when it's time to step up, we do, right? And that doesn't mean you have to take 100 people to jail, but it means you have to take your job seriously, dude, because it
Mm-hmm.
is a serious job. Newsflash, you can fucking die, right? So like, I don't
Yeah.
know how much more serious that needs to get,
Yeah.
but if you're fat, if you're out of shape, if you are a slug, right? And all you do is talk shit, right? You steer people in the wrong direction. All you talk about is how to scam the police department in overtime, okay? I think right now in the place we are in this country, you're going to start phasing out and you're going to start being found out, right? Because I think now we're at a turning point, man, where we're going to start flipping that switch back on and getting back to police work. Because if we don't, we're going to lose, right?
It's going to turn into a civil war, and it's going to be bad.
It's coming. Yeah.
And I think it's definitely, there's a lot that goes into it, I think, right? With like, there's only so much the department can do for its officers, right? Like, even just providing mental health resources is a challenge, right? But providing the mindset training and preparation for this job still isn't
it's
there.
almost impossible. It's almost impossible for a police department to implement that in a real way in their hiring process, right? Because you know as well as I know, man, when you go through that process, they do as best they can to figure out who you are, and they do as best they can to evaluate you. You know, and that's by multiple things, right? Talking to people in your background, whoever that might be, right? Running you through a psychological test, right? We're doing everything that we can to ensure that we're hiring the right person. The problem I see now is they're almost incentivizing people to come in who are so square and so squeaky clean, man, that they seem to look at them as if they're the safer bet. Like, hey, we don't have to worry about anything with them. Their background's going to be cheaper, quicker. We can get that ass in a patrol car. I understand that because we need bodies, man. We have levels that we need to operate within. I get that. And I understand that maybe the caliber of people coming through are a little different. I get all that. But at the same time, you know, law enforcement's main purpose, man, our main responsibility is protection. Okay, so, you know, a lot of people, you hear the serve and protect thing. For me, it's protect and serve, dude. We are here to protect life first. That's it, period. People want to throw in there community oriented policing's way more important. No, it's not. The safety of those people is more important. Okay, and a lot of people don't like that. Sometimes people look at me as if I'm saying the quiet part out loud. Like, oh my God, you like shut that down. No, fuck no, I'm not shutting that down.
Yeah.
Because that's
Which
the truth.
Is the problem.
That's the problem, is because law enforcement has such a chokehold on their people, man. That, bro, if you're a working cop, you can't go out and do a podcast and start talking about the shit that actually needs to change, or go out and actually tell what it's like and what these dudes and gals are facing. You know this shit. I mean, it's
going to get shut down. You're going to get in trouble. Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah. One of my friends went on Scott's podcast, on Ironside's podcast, and talked about stuff. And then his department was like, you got to get that taken down like yesterday.
Right. And look, I even understand that. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's wrong. Right? I understand why police departments don't want their people out there talking freely, because there is sensitive shit that we do that you can't just openly fucking throw out there with no context and no information behind it, because it does stir the pot and it does kind of give people false info. And I get all that. But I think, you know, street cops for sure, I think they need someone who advocates for them, man. I think they need someone now who's going to be vocal and say, no, dude, this is what needs to happen. And these are what these dudes and gals want. They want to get back to work, man. They do. They absolutely do. And, you know, they have the mindset of, why the fuck would I go out there and do that if I know my city and my leadership is going to hang me out to dry? Right. And they know that based on examples that have been set, right? Like, this isn't something that they're just thinking. They've watched it happen. So you know, I get it, and I don't blame them. I really don't, dude. I get where they're coming from. It's a hard deal, but at the same time, I'm sitting back here in my nice cushy retirement gig, right? But I'm sitting back and I'm looking at everything that's happening, as is everybody else. I'm not saying cops aren't opening their eyes and seeing what's going down, because they definitely are. But I see it getting much worse, man. If someone doesn't step up on the street, within these agencies individually, It needs to come from the street cop, dude, because command staff nowadays, dude, 50-50 on whether you're getting a politician or you're getting a cop. And
Mhm.
that's more than it ever has been. We've always dealt with that. Law enforcement's always had an issue with leadership, man. Any career field with a leadership aspect or a management aspect are going to have good, mediocre, and shitty leaders, right? So that's nothing new to us in law enforcement. We've had to deal with that. We've had to play the game. We understand it. But now it seems as though the majority are these politicians slash activists that are hiding behind that uniform, man, and they're strategically placed into those positions because of that,
Mhm.
right? They're
Mhm.
making decisions based on political views or own personal, opinion.
Yeah,
uh,
and one of the tough things is like if you're chief of police or sheriff, it's an at will position. So it's like, and I don't blame some of them, but they got to be concerned about their career too. And like
yeah,
they're and but at the end of the day, like it's so difficult, right, to have like a chief, sheriff, all these people saying like, oh, we're back to blue family. I appreciate each and every one of you. Send out an email every once in a while saying, oh, I get so much good
yeah,
feedback. I got your back. And then unfortunately, like what we saw with specifically with you a few times where it's like, yo, like I put in so much work to this department. I sacrifice so much and then you're not taking care of me. And then you see it over and over when it's like when you come to the realization that it's like a company, it's run like a business, and at the end of the day, you're kind of just like a number.
yeah,
That's where things, in my opinion, get bad. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, and I'll say this, like, dude, I don't have all the answers, man, and this is a
mhm,
problem that I don't think there's one right answer for it. I think there's multiple, right answers that need to happen all at once to make this change, right? And, police departments are run like a business because, dude, they are. I mean, that's what it is. And police departments are not always going to be 100% good. They're going to drop the ball in certain aspects, right? But as
yeah,
long as they learn from it, right, and they don't make it a continuous behavior, that's I think you have to take that with the good, man. And in my case, in my personal experience, like, were there a few things that absolutely need to be done better in the future? For sure, dude. For sure.
mhm,
For absolutely for sure. But in these types of situations, when you're involved in an officer involved shooting, or you're involved in something that, is a big deal, you can't hold your PD and your command staff to such a small margin of error, man. You got to give them a little bit of room, and they may drop the ball here and there, but as long as they're standing by you,
mhm,
right, and they're
yeah,
and they're standing by you in the right ways, I think that should be our expectation. Like, for me, when I came into law enforcement, dude, I didn't come into law enforcement to make friends, dude. Like, that's the truth, and I'm certainly not looking for friends now even, right? So I have no problem calling people out for for their dumb shit and the shit that they need to work on. But, when it comes to my specific stuff, my, that incident and the treatment and everything and how they handled it, man, I give them a thumbs up on it, 1,000%, because they did me right. Did I have qualms when I was looking back and all of the sacrifice and the hard work? Yes, I did, but I had to realize, man, that's the job.
mhm,
It doesn't matter who's leading you, right? You have to understand that you became a cop for your reasons. And that's what helped me get by in that way, where it's like, I don't even need to incorporate them because it's not their place and it's not my place to put them in there, right? That it's time to step up. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's hard. Actually, most of the time it's hard. This ain't an easy
mhm,
job, dude. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You just have to take those punches, and that's fine. I think as a cop, man, we've taken way worse punches than we do on a daily basis. And I say we, but I mean like you guys and shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, dude, it's a tough deal. It's a tough deal. The upper management, upper leadership, chiefs, sheriffs, the chiefs, certainly they're adhered to, the city council, the city manager, the mayor, right? Like that, those are the people they answer to. But make no mistake, those are the people who are pulling the strings. Those are the people calling the shots. It ain't the chief. The chief's going to implement. Hey, this is what we're, tactically. This is what we're doing. This is, he'll make calls when it comes to that. But the real person making the decisions on what we are going to do and how we're going to do it is your local politician, man, which is so ass backwards. That's like me getting out of my seat on an airplane, dude, and walking to the cockpit, opening it up and going, hey, boys, I was a cop for almost 10 years. I'm going to tell you how to fly this plane. And then turning around and going, okay, yeah, no problem. Makes no sense, bro. No sense. You have zero experience in law enforcement. You have zero experience in any investigative anything. But we're going to listen to you and we're going to allow you to dictate how we do business. And if the chief is a good chief and goes, no, that's unsafe and that's not what we do, they could be looking for a brand new job in 30 days from there. And what that city, and then what that politician's going to do is they're going to go find a chief that is going to sit there and just be a yes man or a yes girl, whatever, and sit there and just go, okay, yep, whatever it is you want.
Yeah, which is ultimately hurtful to the organization and the officers and deputies.
Oh, yeah. So think of the community. Think of the community
and the community. Yeah.
Right? Like, this is the service that you expect. Yeah. And if you're okay with it, that's a different conversation, man. If that's what you want, if you don't want law enforcement around, you hate law enforcement so much that you can't take a step back and understand why we're there. You don't want us. Think about, okay, what if your local police department went on strike for 24 hours, refused to go on the street?
That shit may happen soon. We'll see,
And it's a real thing that could happen. And just think, you could have a community that seems like everyone hates the cops, right? But that's not the case, man. There's people there who understand police. They want them there. They know why they're there. Think of how their life is going to be just turned upside down, dude. Because like us, and the general public needs to understand this too. Us as cops, we're going to be okay. We know how to deal with the boogeyman. We've seen the boogeyman. We know exactly how to tactfully deal with him, right? Those civilians that have never seen him before, they don't know. What are they going to do? They don't even own a gun because they think guns are scary or they don't believe in that, right? But dude, we're going to be just fine. I mean, if you really take a step back and you think that we're going to fucking have an issue? Negative, man. We've been dealing with this shit for years and years and years. Every minute of every day we deal with these pieces of shit that are out there lurking to victimize you.
Yeah. It right? kind of just becomes like the norm.
Right. For us. And we're comfortable in chaos, man. We're comfortable in confrontation. We're comfortable dealing in those settings. And that's something that you can take from law enforcement and take into your retirement life. I certainly have. And it's things that you don't really think about when you're working. But man, you have all of that training, all of that experience. You take that and go right into your normal life, man. And it helps you tremendously. So, I get it, man. And we need a good working relationship with our community, right? Like our command staff, they have a whole onslaught of shit that we have no idea about. Okay. So I don't want to really step into that realm when it comes to, I can sit here and say poor leadership 100%. And I can give example after example on that. But I don't know what really goes on up there. Right. I don't either. Right. So like, do I believe I know the characteristics of a good leader? Yes. Do I expect that? Yes. But at the same time, there may be things up there that I don't necessarily understand. So I give that grace a little bit, as much as it, as little as it is, I do give that. But when it comes to the community, you have to have a chief, you have to have upper management that has a good working relationship with the community, in addition to the cops, right? And we need that to be able to have that cohesiveness to really make sure that our communities are safe. I'm a huge proponent in that for sure. But at the same time, there are things that we cannot let our community members dictate. We just can't. Unfortunately, we can't. Like, it is our job to protect you. You don't understand that and don't understand all that goes into that. So you may have an opinion about this and you may think you know how that works, but it doesn't, right? And like, I think we in law enforcement, especially our leadership, needs to do a better job of communicating that. You hear these chiefs and captains and they talk to the community and they talk in such a professional manner, man, and such a, cop-like manner that dude, these community members barely understand what the fuck is going on. I don't even. I'm like, that was like a word salad, dude. Like, I'm like, I got zero information from that, just a bunch of words, right? And they'll hit the buzzwords, man. Transparency and,
Yeah.
community oriented
Yep.
policing. They'll say that a million times. But being truthful, like, listen, community, we hear you. We're going to take this into consideration and try to implement some change here and there, to suffice. But at the same
Mhm.
time, this is why we do things, right? Or this is why my cops did what they did. We are unapologetic about it. We feel for the community because it's a bad situation, right? If someone loses their life, if something bad happens, man, we sit there and we go, damn, this whole situation is terrible. But our decisions are going to be unapologetically done.
Mhm. Mhm.
We aren't going to, you know what I mean? If a cop is in a position where it's either him or them, right? Or her or them, I don't want that cop feeling like they need to apologize for the decision they made
And
because they shouldn't.
that's almost how it's getting,
Right.
unfortunately, with everything
Right.
going on, right? And like you look at the shooting in Minneapolis, like when this drops, it'll be a month ago. But you look at that, and then I think with everything going on, and just touch on this really briefly with law enforcement and the politics and everything, you're almost so worried about the repercussions that you're hesitant to
Yeah.
act,
Sure.
and like the violence of action in order to quickly dissolve or like quickly solve the situation
Yeah.
where like neither the officer, the deputy, or the suspect gets injured is almost gone, because in the back of your head sometimes you're like, am I going to get in trouble for this? Am I going to be all
Right.
over YouTube? Am I going to be all over the
Right.
news? Like you have all this, it's just all like all these negative thoughts are clouding your judgment, and it's not like
Mhm.
the days of being like, hey, I identify this. This is a problem. I'm going to
Yeah.
use force to overcome the resistance to safely effect the arrest, and
Right.
then deal with it later on in court, and then that's done. Now it's like, oh shit, if this goes bad, or if I do have to pull the trigger, this is going to be terrible. And then
Yeah.
ultimately, I think that results in these situations lasting longer, which increases the likelihood of people getting injured or situations going
I,
badly.
you're 100. I have the same opinion. Exact same opinion, dude. And, to touch on what I said before, just real quick, where I want our cops unapologetic. I say that in the sense of like, do I want people on the street who, God forbid, they get into a shooting and they don't care? No, I'm not saying that, right? What I mean by being unapologetic is I don't want them to feel as though that decision that they made was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the information that they have, whatever they have and they're perceiving in front of them, whatever that threat may be, they need to be confident in the decision that they make, right? Whether that, right, wrong, right? If it's wrong, it tends to be very easy to see that it's wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you're going to be apologetic about that, right? But
Yeah.
what I mean by that is we have a job to do, and it's not a pretty job, right? It's never going to be. And instead of saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, it's not a good looking job. Like I'm sorry it looks like this. I'm sorry we had to do this. I'm sorry."
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sorry. This is why we're fucking here. This is why we are employed to do
Yep.
this, right? Like this whole, you know, and I think the like you said, with the hesitation, man, that's all that there is now. Even proactive police work, I can think, is before you jump out on someone, you're like, fuck, is this worth it? Like, what if this goes down? What if this,
100%.
right?
That is it worth it? And I'll tell
Yeah.
you, like coming from California to being a cop in the South and Louisiana, like it's crazy how different that is, right? And the times like out here, we're probably 5 years behind California.
Right. Right.
Whereas California, it was like there were some times you see all this shit and you hear all this shit going on and people being IA'd, and you
Yeah.
see a car and you're like, ooh, five
Ah,
years ago I would be all over that thing, not even hesitating. And now you're like, oh my God, if this turns into something bad, it like,
yeah.
is it worth it for a fucking taillight out, or like trying to get into the car to
Exactly.
get something, and yeah.
Exactly, dude. And that's what our cops are faced with on every stop. Just think of how much more unsafe the community is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a broken taillight, right? But that could be a stop with a gun right under the seat.
Yeah.
Or that could be a driver with a gun in his waistband, wanted for murder out of a different county or something, right?
Yeah.
A bad guy in the community out looking to do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where that proactiveness is so important, man, because and I get it. Like I was talking about, we don't need every cop to be that way. But
Mm-hmm.
in law enforcement today, I think we are adult enough to know that, hey, if this is our group of proactive cops, and we know that they're proactive because we have the results, right? We see their work product that comes from their work ethic. It's tangible, bro. We can fucking hold it. We know how many arrests they have, right? Let's be adult enough to go, hey, you know what? You 5 people, you've been killing it. So you're going to go work in the busy beat. And that's where you're going to stay because that's where you like, that's where you want, that's where we need you the most. Or, dude, hey, for the next month, we're going to make our own crime suppression unit. And you 5 are in there and you got 1 sergeant with you. We want you to go out, no calls for service. We want you to go out and just find bad people and take them to jail. Start implementing this shit so that it motivates these cops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because and it motivates them in the right way because you're taking them out of patrol, you're giving them this specialty position. These cops absolutely have the right to go, hey, if this is what we're doing, if something happens, I want to hear it from your mouth. How are you going to treat us? What does the process look like? Lock them down to what the fuck they're saying right then and there. Okay. Yeah. And then from there, okay, we got it. We're all good. Let's go out and do business. We go out, do business. If something bad happens, then we're going to see. And if they completely shit the bed and they turn on you, okay, 1, you just learned a very valuable lesson. But 2, unfortunately, you're going to have to let that process work itself out. I understand it. I've been sued multiple times. I understand exactly what that fucking feels like, and it ain't fun. But unfortunately, we're going to have to kind of go through that process, right? You're going to get an attorney. You're going to win. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that city. We're going to knock on their door and we're going to say, hey, we're here to take your lunch money. And we're going to fucking sue you until the fucking cow come home. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to stop. Mm-hmm. And if you lock down that leader in your organization, there's a thing called a deposition, right? What did you tell us? Boom, right here. If you got 5 cops who were all in the same room and heard the exact same shit before they went out to do this specialty that this leader implemented into the dude, you're golden.
You're good.
You need to start holding people accountable in that way too. You may just be a B cop, right? You're just a 5-year B cop. No one really knows who you are. You're trying to figure your life out. You still can stand the fuck up to this type of shit. If you see bad leadership and you take it upon yourself to try to say something, just understand there's going to be pushback, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I think street cops now are going to have to kind of nip that shit in the ass. And there's only one way to do it. You know what I mean? And so if that needs to be through litigation, then it has to go there because something's got to give, man. We got to get back to working. And right now it's hard to motivate our cops to work because how could you blame them who would ever have a work ethic, right?
Yeah, it's understandable given the times. Totally. Obviously, the last thing that you want is to go through litigation, civil lawsuits, everything. Like it'd be so much easier just to completely avoid all that, right? But this is the nice thing about the Code 33 project, right? With all this experience that you have having, I guess now it's a benefit that you can talk about it, but being civilly sued and going through all this shit, being the proactive street cop and having now an outside perspective as a retired law enforcement officer, but now you're able to help people get the right mindset before getting into this job, before getting into field training, while they're in the academy, before the academy, prep for oral boards, and then mentoring those cops to kind of have these conversations and get new ideas flowing. Because, you can sit there with your shift with your entire team at 0300 and you're sitting there shooting the shit, but to hear it from somebody else who's been through it with new opinions, new perspectives, like that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's part of the Code 33 project.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, dude. And in fact, that's the most important aspect of the Code 33 project, man, where it's it's really driving home the why at the application part, right? Like, right, I want to be there when you're filling that application out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not with you, you're not in a with us before you fill that application out, that's okay too, dude. If you're struggling in the police academy right now and you're looking for something that you can just bounce ideas off of, or let me hear it from a different perspective, or maybe some different ideas as to how to do it, right? We're here for you in that sense. Like, it doesn't have to be somebody who's brand spanking new, hasn't even put an application yet. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
solo street cop right now. Right now, we have a client in our program who is a working cop, has been for a few years, and is looking to lateral and is looking to just kind of mold themselves a little bit better before they go to that other agency. So it's widespread, but my main focus is those new people, right? And to be a part of that entire process with them is not only extremely beneficial for them, but it's beneficial for that department they're going to, right? So like, if you are in a long-term mentorship, and these mentorships can be developed based off of your needs. So if you're coming to us with just one specific problem and you're like, hey, I don't think I need you week by week, we can set that up to where it's like, hey, this is a 2-week mentorship. We meet Mondays,
Got it.
Monday and Monday, and that's it. But you know, if we get to a point where you're starting to struggle more, now you hit FTO and now it's like the world just exploded. That relationship between you and that FTO can either it can be really good or it can be really bad, but at the same time, regardless of what it is, that communication tends to be a lot harder than if it's somebody you don't know or who's not evaluating you, right?
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want to be the new guy who comes up and goes, like, I fucked this up. I have no idea. Your FTO is going to be like, fuck, I told you how to do this fucking 3 times. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you're like, all right, yeah, you did. So you don't want to ask any more questions. Right. So you just get it done quickly. Well, if you have us at your side, you can just give a quick text message to me, man. Everybody gets my personal cell phone. Like, hey, man, I have this question right here. Is it okay if we jump on a phone call? Boom. Yes. Boom. Hey, what happened? Okay, think about this. Ask your FTO this, right? Like, just to give from a different perspective.
Yep.
What we're doing is we're developing, right? We're developing these cops, mold them with their why and that passion to get them to understand what law enforcement's main purpose is, man. We are there to protect. You need to have the ability to know when the when is and when the where is, right? The when and where. You there's going to come a time where you need to look someone in the eye and say, shut their fucking mouth and sit down. You're you're gonna,
Mm-hmm.
or you know what I mean? You're gonna have to be like that towards people. But then there's gonna come a time where you need to be soft, and that transition and
Yeah.
the ability to adapt to both those things is really important. And
Mm-hmm.
the gift of discretion, man. Like, showing these cops before they're even a cop, like, hey, this is a thing called discretion, and this is how we can use it. I use discretion more than I used anything else, dude, in violent interactions. And that discretion helped me more than anything I could have ever said, right? Or anything I could have ever done. Like, diffusing these situations just based off, like, look, dude, I understand you're nervous about this, but we can work this out without, having to go to jail. Or, hey, man, if you're cool with me, you're respectful, we can work as adults. I'm not going to tow your car. I'm going to get someone here who can drive legally, right? We're going to help you out because we understand that, the weight of the world on your shoulders through hard times. I
Yeah.
understand that. I'm
Yeah.
not out here to make people's life any more, hard. So that development, so that these trainees have a foundation, right, of what police work is and the mindset you should have going into it, right? Because there's going to come times where you're going to be staring at some evil, man, and it's going to take you to flip that switch and be able to slow things down and make the right decision for those stressful circumstances. And
Mm-hmm.
I think oftentimes right now with cops they don't possess those capabilities, right? They're inadequate. We got
Yeah.
cops right now who are on the street as we have this conversation who shouldn't be. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because they can't make those decisions.
Yeah. And I think now, like, given the times and especially everything going on with all politics and everybody hating on ICE and this whole stuff, right? Police departments are eventually going to have to start getting involved in doing all this, and
Yeah.
I think the more mentorship that we can give our cops, the more training, the more tools, resources. Like, you should want everything at their disposal to have
Yeah.
more tools in their toolbox, a different mindset. It gives you more, hey, I can do this. I can think about it this way. I can take it this way, instead of just being like, oh, this is what I've always done. And
Right.
just, this is what
Right.
I've always done. Now this is what I need to do.
Right.
You can take in different ideas, different methods, different things,
Totally.
and then adapt it to your call
Yeah.
for service or whatever.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, dude, in law enforcement, we adapt so much. We change so much for
Mhm.
whatever, the world changing and different social stuff. And we adapt so well to that, right? But when it comes to our mindsets, how we take our job seriously, we're so stuck in the way things have always been. I mean, dude, you go through the police academy, Gordon Graham is still teaching for post. Like, it's like, dude, we need to change our mindsets because
Well,
the job has changed.
mhm.
It's more violent today than it ever has been,
Yeah.
right? So, and you hear people, oh, demilitarize law enforcement. It's like, then stop fucking doing this shit. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, we are a paramilitary organization.
Mhm.
Okay. Newsflash. I know fucking everybody doesn't think of that, but it is a fact. And, it's, dude, it's not an easy job, and it's not a rainbows and fairy tales like it's been presented to people recently, man. It's like this smoke and mirrors thing where they've implemented such softness, such like hands off, I'm scared to touch you. I mean, you see these videos all the time of cops getting their ass handed to them all up and down the street. It makes me want to grind my teeth, dude. I can't fucking watch them. And I mean, and this is the only one I'm going to talk about. We'll break this one down real quick. There was a video in one of the Dakotas. Okay, it was North or South Dakota. Bad guy's there. There's three cops in front of him and of this bad guy. And the bad guy punches one cop. Okay, the cop wearing a fucking bicycle helmet punches that cop in the face, and this cop goes like this. Okay, walks off. And then there's two female cops who the bad guy just punches one, drops that one, punches the other one, drops that one. All three of them out of commission, dude, in about 5 seconds. It's not like this dude was a professional fighter either. Okay, this was just by looking at him, it wasn't that, right? But everybody sits there and think, oh, these cops need to fucking fight better, this, that, train more. Yes, 100%. Everyone's skipping over the biggest learning lesson from that entire fuckery that went on, right? It's that cop in the bicycle helmet quit in the fight, dude. He got punched one time right here, held his fucking face, and walked off while his partners, his teammates, were getting their ass whooped. That to me should be a, hey, chief wants to talk to you. Give me your fucking gun and your badge. You're gone. You're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're gonna quit in the fight because someone punched you in the face, you should not be a cop. Because
But here's, yeah, 100%.
it's not gonna be the last time.
But
You're
that ain't
gonna
gonna
be.
happen. That's not gonna happen
No,
because
I know.
you need
They're
the
gonna keep them.
personnel. It's hard to fire people.
Right, 100%. They'll promote that cop to a fucking lieutenant, and he'll be making decisions,
Mhm.
right, in the next 5-6 years,
Yeah.
because he's got a bachelor's degree in fucking pottery, right? Like, oh my God, you must be the smartest. You're a perfect leader because you have that degree. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
such nonsense, dude. But you look at that and you go, holy fuck. You just quit right when it got to the point where you need to stand up, right? You need to step up. This is where action is needed. And you
Mhm.
just walked off because that hurt. Like, I can't wrap my mind around that. But
Yeah.
that is what it seems like they're trying to promote law enforcement in this light of weakness, right? Look at the people who work for law enforcement. Look at the cops, they're weak. And then all these videos come out of these cops getting their ass whooped all up and down the street. One suspect, 4 cops on him, and he's fucking punching,
Yeah.
and
It's
he
not a
runs
good.
off.
It's not a good look at all. And you know what
Right.
that is? It's giving more fuel to those suspects out there. Those people that don't like law enforcement, that
Right.
will talk shit. It makes law enforcement look bad, number one, but number two, it makes the suspects be like, oh, like this is what law enforcement is these days and everything. Done. I
Sure.
got it. Like I'm
What
good.
deterrence are we implementing there?
Yeah, exactly.
We're not. There's zero deterrence. And for me, I see someone who doesn't take their job seriously. That is what that is. That is someone who's there because they just want to get that paycheck. They want to
Yeah.
not they want that notoriety that comes with the badge. They
Yeah.
want to be able to tell the stories and shit, right?
Hmm.
They want to be able to tell people, I'm a cop. But when it comes down to do cop things, they don't. And it's because they're the wrong type of person, the wrong mindset. Their why is fucked up. If you are going to take one punch to the face and quit, I know your why is fucked up.
Yeah.
100. I don't give a shit if you broke your fucking cheekbone, eye socket, your eyeballs hanging out. Don't matter. We can throw ourselves a pity party in about 5 minutes. But right now, your teammates are getting knocked out. They are
Hmm.
getting dropped, and you're walking off because that punch hurt. I'm sorry, bro. You're gonna have to work through that, and
Yeah.
that is a fact. And if you can't do that, then do not come into this career field. You're
Yeah.
gonna work hurt.
And
I
that just that right there, and amongst other videos and incidents, kind of just shows the mindset,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Like of law enforcement
exactly.
nowadays. And it's just
Yeah,
like you think about like when my dad and your dad first started, right? Like if somebody punched one of those cops, dude, they were taking a trip to the fucking hospital.
100%.
But back then, they knew, and even all these suspects knew, and my dad's told me this, and your dad's probably told you
Yeah,
that. If
yeah,
they fought or ran from the cops, they knew they were going to get an ass beating. And I'm sure
yeah,
a lot of people did not, and they complied and they took their lick because
bro.
they
It's a
knew they
safer
were going to
time,
end up in a hospital. But
right?
nowadays, it's like, oh, we good.
But
And then last thing on this, but then also you talk about like, oh, you're okay, now you're in jail, blah blah blah, we got you, and then they want to give you a few months probation, then you violate your
right,
probation, the whole criminal.
right,
We can go on a tangent about that.
right.
Let's get back to the Code 33 project.
Yeah, yeah,
So for the people that are listening to this, obviously we can go on tangents and we could talk forever and ever about this. Talk to us about the mentorship aspect, the not necessarily needing to be like a brand new officer. It could be a 5-year cop, a 10-year cop, somebody looking to lateral, like you mentioned.
yeah.
Um, and then how you can tailor that mentorship program towards that police officer.
Yeah. So like for, let's use the example of a 5-year cop, and let's use the example of not even lateraling. Let's use it to where maybe this cop is having an issue with plateauing, right? Let's say like, hey, I'm swinging and missing. I'm trying my best to find bad guys, but I just seem like I'm missing a piece to the puzzle, right? Okay, let's tailor a mentorship towards street work. What are some ideas that I have that I can put down, and I write outlines. So we do a consultation. That's where we find out what your needs are, right? And we agree to the duration, right? All of that. Then in the next week, I'll come up with an outline, whether that be, I just wrote a 12-week one. And that's typically where I stay. But let's say it's a month. So I'll run down an outline for 4 weeks, right? Each week's going to be a different topic of, street work. Hey, what have you done to prepare yourself to understand the street, right? Cause dude, there are so many things. Music was a big thing for me. That's what I would listen to rap music when I was in my patrol car, and rap music directly associated to the area I was from. I found, artists that were from the area where we were working and listened to their music, listened to what they said. And dude, I found out a lot of shit through their music, right? Their terminology for guns, what kind of cars they want to drive, because why do they want to drive those cars? Well, they're fast, right? They're automatics, and they're like one gear, whatever that transmission is, and in the one gear it's quicker to speed off and run from the cops. So it's like, what preparation are you doing to
Mm-hmm.
be able to spot that bad guy, right? And once you spot that bad guy, do you have the ability to take on that bad guy? Because those are two very different things. And we can tailor the mentorship for either or both of those things. And it's really just, hey, where do you work? Cool. I'll do some research on crime rates and crime areas. And then I got to find out, what are your expectations of your department? Like, how do they view proactivity? What's what's that culture like within your police department? And
Mm-hmm.
then it's tailoring, like I said, let's develop a plan to kind of study, right? We're going to study the street, right? In this area are you guys having burglaries? Yes, we are. We're having a ton of auto burglaries. Okay, well, dude, let's set up down the fucking street and let's take 2 hours out of our day and let's sit there and watch. Have you ever tried that? Sitting at a place on a corner in a nice spot and just watching. Do you run plates? Are you running plates while you're behind the car, right? Before you even stop the car, are you running the plate, getting the RO, running the RO out? Have you figured out that process, right? Because that absolutely helps you once you go to that door, right? Now I can ID this person, or I ID'd them from the mirror or whatever. Now I have a plan, right? And really street work for me was always that. It was always prepping myself for whatever plan I needed. And it was like, hey, if it was a general traffic stop, I had the same foundational work ethic, right, of what I do for safety. But the info that I was gathering before we even made that stop is all going to come into my proactiveness, right? Because now I understand what type of person it is based on their history. What have they been arrested for? If it's all dope, right? Okay, well, I'm thinking gun regardless. But now I'm really thinking gun and dope, right? And now when I come to the window, now I got my plain view, right? Are you like seriously taking inventory of the inside of this car? And what I mean is like, do you have a method of how you look around the entire passenger compartment of the car while you're standing there asking for driver's license and all that bullshit, right? So it's just different techniques that I've done personally on the street that I think I can push into those mentorships to just some added, like, and that's why when people have been talking to me about the Code 33 project, I always say it's like a cop tutor, right? Because that's really what it is. It's just giving a little bit of information that you yourself can build on in your career. You're not going to need me forever, but I'm going to put you up on this game and you can keep this game forever, right? So, and there's going to be differences too. There's going to be tenure cops who may come to me and go, hey, my street work's good, but I'm having some struggles in leadership, right? I'm having some struggles in feeling confident in making decisions and having that whole thought process, right? When I have someone in front of me who's got a pretty good tendency to become violent and I can see them starting to erupt, right? And we're about at that cusp. That's where I kind of find myself shit in the bed with my decisions, right? Okay, cool. We're going to go into a mentorship on leadership, right? And then I have some things that I have in my, toolbox that, I led, right? Like I've been in acting sergeant positions. And so I have that mindset a little bit when it comes to a sergeant, but on the street, dude, and every single fucking call as I was a canine, everybody fucking turns to you, right? You're setting up everything. And you don't need to be a canine. You could be a street cop, beat cop. It's just you and the suspect. You're going to have to implement some leadership there. And so being able to transition in those different leadership roles, and then based off of my experience in that, again, it's just different perspective, different tools, different way of doing things, that I think could open people's eyes like, oh, fuck, I didn't even think of that. Right. And it's like, if we can just get one of those, like, dude, that's fucking great,
Yeah, definitely. So, and then when people reach out to you, obviously they can go to the website and then they could fill out the form and everything. Are you pretty quick turnaround to get to them to schedule the consultation call? And then what is like for those listening, what's like the price or what can they look at to start budgeting that?
Yeah. So you go to the website, www.thecode33project.com. And there is a tab at the top that says, I think it says courses, or mentorship. I forget what it says, but you click that. It'll generate a page for a consultation. You fill out the info, your basic info, name, phone number, email, and then a little quick synopsis of kind of who you are and what you're looking for. Turnaround time is going to be within 24 hours. If it's on the weekend, like you put in a submission on the weekend, that could be 48 hours or Monday morning type of deal. But really quick turnaround. Everything comes straight to my cell phone, dude. So you know what I mean? I know about it immediately. And then when it comes to pricing, man, it's tough to put out a price of just like, hey, this is a generic price, because everybody's needs are differently. Typically, I want to stay at $90 an hour. So each of our sessions, the way I've been running it now is we'll meet once a week. If your mentorship requires multiple days a week to meet, totally fine. But we can do that. But right now we're doing once a week. So, the client I have, we meet on a specific day during the week. Each one of those sessions are at $90. And that could change here and there a little bit just based off of, whatever their needs are. But that's where I kind of want to stay.
Okay, cool. And then I when you were explaining it, Nick, it kind of seemed like a lot that we talk about here with therapy, right? And all of our therapists talk about, where it's not like we want you to get into therapy and then you're in therapy for the rest of your 25, 30-year career, right? It's kind of like the same thing with therapy, where it's like, hey, here's some different modalities. Here's some tools that you can use to work on yourself in your patrol car if you're at the hospital or if you're whatever.
Totally.
And then now, if you need me in the future, for sure, hit me up and be like, hey, I need another therapy session, maybe 3 therapy sessions to work on something. It's kind of the same thing with you, right? Where it's like, hey, let's go through this, whether it's a 3-month mentorship program. And then it's like, okay, cool. I think I got everything. And then maybe a year or 3, 5 years from now, something else pops up and it's like, oh, I remember going through the Code 33 project. It's just another resource for our community.
Yes, exactly.
And I love it.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head, dude. It's just another resource for cops and people who want to be cops that can just get that added education, let's call it, right?
Yeah.
Can just, and think of this too, if you're brand new and you're wanting to put an application in to become a cop, and you come through the program before you even put that application in, and now you have an oral board set. You can use this on your oral board. Hey, I take this job so seriously, and I want to be a cop so seriously that I have gone through this program with my own money in preparation for this, right? And you can say, I'm continuously going through this through my whole process, right? And people, cops, especially that command staff, is going to look at that and go, wow, he's taking the initiative, or she's taking the initiative, that extra step, to make themselves better and be, a better learner, man. And really, dude, I'll say it, like, I want to produce thinkers, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to produce well-rounded street cops who use thought to make decisions, not emotion. And I think that's where that building block is. We'll get there, right? Like with the passion and the why. And dude, like I said, if you're struggling in the police academy, dude, hit the Code 33 project up and we can set a mentorship up. Like, dude, it's as easy as like, hey, let's start some flashcards on your PC codes or whatever learning domain you're having an issue with.
Yeah.
Dude, let's set it up. I mean, when it comes to that, for us, like, dude, when it comes to academy stuff and FTO stuff, generally every police department operates the same way, right? So all of that information is really foundational information that everybody learns. So I'm learning this. I've learned the same shit you're going through right now, right?
Yep.
And then you sprinkle in the experience of being a cop, right? And being in those positions, right? Like that education to that new guy or gal is going to be that much better. So it really is just that, dude. We want to produce well-rounded thinkers who are safe on the street, but understand that there are points in their job where they need to become a savage, and that's real, and that's not something to apologize for.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously, throughout this process, like we'll be collabing and working together too.
Totally.
Like, I know you're gonna put the Overwatch Collective on your website, and then we're gonna do the same thing. And it's just it's so cool to have additional resources. Like for us, right? Like we provide therapy for service members and all first responders, but like now, if there's a first responder, police officer specifically, that reaches out and it's like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I need therapy or anything, it's like, hey, we can get you that as well. But like, if you need anything else, here's the Code 33 project. Like, look it up, pass it to your fellow coworkers, and maybe somebody else needs that or anything. So, it's just, that's where it's the cool thing, where it's like, I know I say it every single podcast, but like the name, the Overwatch Collective, like it truly is a collective effort to take care of our community, the people that are actually putting on the uniform, that are going out there to make sure that they are safe and they're the best product for that police department, right? Because with the lack of training, sick, you shot 70% on the basic qualification under zero stress with a target that's fucking sitting there like this, and you got a 71% sick.
Yep.
Like you're
100%.
now
And,
you're able to go on the
and
street for 50.
people are fucking clapping and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think it's just, I think it's good. I think it's needed now more than ever.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I do. And then the collab stuff, it's going to be awesome, dude, because, there may be someone who comes through our mentorship program, man, who's struggling with a little bit of mental health stuff,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to struggling with, some stuff on the street. And
Yeah.
I mean, shit, dude, it's no secret, man. I retired after getting diagnosed with PTSD. I went through all of those struggles and therapy, and I have firsthand knowledge about how hard that is. And so, I think I have a unique perspective to be able to help people in that too. Because if someone
Yep.
comes through our program and says,
Yep.
"Hey, I'm struggling," like, dude, we're gonna design a mentorship program for you too, even if it's just mental health. It has nothing to do with street work, and we'll get linked up with you, and maybe we can help this person together, man.
Yeah,
And
and
set
that's a nice
up.
thing too. It could be
Yeah,
like the full package, right?
exactly.
Somebody
Yeah,
can reach out and you could be like, "Hey, I got you. I have the personal experience. This is what I went through. These are
right,
some of the things you can consider. Some of the things that did not work for me, some of the
right,
things that did work for me, some of the things that you might need to talk to your husband or wife about.
right.
This the shit that I went through, but then also and then you pass them off to talk, be like, listen to this podcast.
Yep,
Here's 5 therapists that you can work with if you need. If you need
totally.
help filling out the form to get financial assistance, I got you. So then that person that reaches out is like, oh man, like I feel like I got everything I need. Like whatever
Yeah,
I need, I feel like I'm taken care of. That's what
sure.
we want.
Yeah, dude, it gives them that sense of having a team behind them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And having
Yeah.
that support system where it's nice to have one body behind you and support
Yeah.
you, but if you have multiple, man, you're gonna feel
Yeah.
that much more confident moving forward.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Social media, website, email address, send it.
Yeah. So email address, it's the code33project at gmail.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find us. It's the code 33, project on those socials. And then for our website, it's the www.thecode33project.com.
Yeah, make it pretty simple. I know. Same thing with us. Like if you type in the
Yeah.
Overwatch Collective, you'll find us, and it's like
Yeah.
same thing for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
our community is not the brightest sometimes, but
Yeah.
if you type that in,
That's the truth, though, man. That's the.
you should be able to figure it out and find us. But if
Yeah.
you can't, obviously everything will be in the podcast description down below. Nick, last question for you. Our motto at the Overwatch Collective is one more is one less, as you know. End of every podcast episode, we ask our guests what one more is one less means to them. So take it away.
Yeah. What it means to me, man, is, one more thing I can do to prevent one more suicide, man. And it really is, to me, it's a personal thing because of my experience, but at the same time, us in law enforcement, and obviously it's like this for all first responders and military. I know that they take care of their people, but specific to cops, like, dude, we got to take care of each other. You know what I mean? And if you're struggling, reach out to the Overwatch Collective. They've helped me, dude. You've been there the whole journey, man. So, I can speak from firsthand account. It's easy. It's amazing, dude. You guys are doing a great job, and just keep it up. And we're gonna be collabing together and helping in that way too. So, super pumped on it, man. You're doing a great job, and we just need to be there for our people, dude.
Yep. Yeah. Likewise, proud of you and everything that you're doing. I think it's good for you too to stay in the community and connected and everything.
Yeah, man. It definitely is. When you retire, especially at 32, man, you're like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? And I lost the sense of the community, dude.
That could be honestly, we should do another podcast with just that specifically.
For sure.
When we get the Wi-Fi fucking figured out.
Yeah. No, dude, I can tell you right now, especially in Idaho, dude, there is so many retired cops struggling with the fact that they're retired and they don't know what to do with themselves. So I think that's a great topic for another podcast, man.
Yep. No, I look forward to it. All right, everybody. Well, hope you enjoyed season 10, episode 6 with Nick McCarthy, the Code 33 project. Nick, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks.